Hey, what's going on guys? I'm Dbt04 here. Today we are back to cover the other encounter deck, which is Dragonic Overlord. We've been doing Overlord for about since Dbt04 now, and as you probably know, I'm not the one who actually can afford the deck. So today we have Faye the 4th.
Hello.
But let me think about it, Overlord's actually pretty cheap because for the past like 2 sets he's received nothing but commons and rares, and that's actually still okay. But what Overlord has received in set 4 is not some amazing new support, it's a change of mindset. Everyone knows that Seraph Pure Light is now a meta, and that's a huge problem for us. For our past 2 deck profiles we've presented here for Overlord, we've been showing you that we use Toga Chilashi as our way to fund soul in order to actually convert our soul into magic numbers and to beat down and win. But we can't do that anymore. But we can do it ourselves. We now have enough cards to gain magic numbers for free without relying on actually using soul. So let's get straight into it. Our grade 0 is Undum, it's our starter. Our grade 1 is Bar. Bar has 2 skills. When rolled upon by Nahalem, you search your deck for any grade 1 in the deck, and then after that, you add it to your hand for 1 counterblast. So it's pretty cool. You can 2-box the entire Dragon Empire arsenal. That is grade 1. Yes. So you can add like another Bar, which is recommended because Bar is actually not bad. But yes, of course, the best option is you definitely want your PG at all costs. But you know what else you can add? The Eugene Turtle. But we'll get into them later. So we just want to tell you that ideally you can search for a PG, and that's still not bad. Its second skill is at the end of the battle that your Vanguard attack hits. This unit gains 5,000 power once per turn. So the thing is that you actually can have a 13k booster or beater on your rearguard circles, which is phenomenal by the way. And you can use this as early as turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, so it's just great. Just play Bar. Then we have Dragonite Nahalem. When rode upon by Dragonic Overlord, you can Superior Call him out to the rearguard. For those of you who enjoyed Alfred early, I have great news for you. His second skill is actually pretty simple. Use Soul Blast 1, and then if you do, this unit and your Overlord gains 5,000 power. It's not bad, but it's not good enough anymore, which is why we don't play 4 Nahalem in this deck. We only play 1 in the right deck. Because like I said, we don't want to use Soul to just pump power because we are now facing Pure Light. So instead, using 1 copy of Nahalem is still fine. But relying on more Nahalems is not fine anymore. So yeah, 1 is still okay. Then of course we have Dragonic Overlord.
Okay, so Dragonic Overlord, I mean, as I said, the past 2 videos is two very simple skills. So Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, yeah, so you want to call it as a Rearguard. When he attacks a opponent's Rearguard, they cannot call cards from their hand to guard. So you just straight up, it's a guaranteed attack hit. You just destroy the rearguard and it's gone. And then but they can still call orders to guard it. But then why? But it's still an option. And then just know that it's a rearguard skill as well. So if you need to snipe some rearguards, you can call your personal right copies to snipe some rearguards. But that's not the important part. The important part is the second skill, which is what Overlord has been known for the past 10 years. When his attack hits Counterblast 1, you discard 1 card from your hand, you stand him, and he loses 1 drive. So, it's a restanding Vanguard. It's still the only restanding Vanguard in all of Dragon Empire, and it is very, very good. If you choose to hit a rearguard, it's basically a guaranteed triple drive every turn. Of course, you lose 1 card, but you cycle through your deck, you get through your pieces. It's really very strong. And if you're ballsy, you can of course try to hit the Vanguard twice, but because PGs exist. So yeah, and when combined with Dragonite and Nahalem, he is a very, very consistent 18k beater on your very first turn 3. So that of course hits for magic numbers. You combine it with like Gates Fort, of course the Eugene Turtle, Bar, or even though it's something like Velosa Hazard. It hits for magic numbers. You will definitely pressure your opponent a lot, both in the early game and in the late game, and just overall, it's a lot for your opponent to handle.
On grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord, 1 in the right deck, and 4 Tri-Bash. Overlord, we just mentioned, we just play 4 because we really want the Persona right.
Yes, Persona right is actually one of the main ways that this deck wins, because you just win by pure pressure
and pure numbers.
And by pressuring your opponent over and over again, they will not have enough to guard once you reach the Persona right turn, especially with the support cards that Overlord has gotten in the past 2 sets that we have not highlighted as of yet.
And then we have Tri-Bash. Tri-Bash is a Eugene card, but it's still very good in Overlord. His skill is very simple. when your Vanguard attacks, if your opponent has 2 or less rear guards, you move this into Soul, your Vanguard gains 1 crit. I know we just said we don't want to use Soul anymore for resources. That is true, but the thing is, Tri-Bash offers something that the Overlord deck does not have on its own yet, and that's a crit. And crits are very good in Overlord if you've ever seen a historical Overlord deck. So, yes, I know this is from Eugene, but we are still playing it in here until, Dbt05, where Overlord eventually gets better support. Then we may finally say goodbye to Tri-Bash.
But you may be asking, how does Overlord retire rear guards that is not just the one in the front row? Well, now we shall move on to the Great Tools to answer that question.
We play 4 copies of Berserk Dragon, and we play 4 copies of Desert Gunner Ethan,
yes.
and then we play 4 copies of this guy.
Vortex Shred.
Yes.
Yes.
So, no, Vortex Shred is a Vanquisher guy. This is Stun Wrecker.
Or Stun Wrecker.
This is Stun Wrecker. So, let's get into it. Stun Wrecker, very good card. When I said we could get magic number for free,
yes.
This is one of the guys I was thinking of. As long as your Vanguard's attack hit this turn, he gains 10k. So it's kind of like the reason why we play Bar, but it's even better. Because this is 18k, this is 13k.
Yeah, because Dragonic is an 8k base grade 2. So if you're using him in the early game, please
make sure your attacks hit.
Please reconsider.
Make sure your attacks hit.
Yeah.
So this is an 18k plus 13k, which is just very good numbers, and they are all free. I really don't have to explain why Vortex Shred is good. It's just 18k, which is almost guaranteed 18k.
Yes.
So
and we combine with our grade 1s, you will see later on why having 18k is very important in this deck.
Then we play Desert Gunner Ethan.
So
he's also a guy with low power, so just keep it in mind.
Yes.
Ethan is a very simple skill. When your Vanguard attack hits, retire this unit, draw and counter charge. What? I don't know if my Vanguard attack will hit. Yes, you do. It's Dragonic Overlord. So you can basically, if you time this right with Ethan, you can use Ethan first, then Overlord, then you can use Ethan to refund your counter blast cost, and you draw. So
it's a 1-for-1.
It's a 1-for-1 exact trade-off, just that you retire Ethan instead. So
yes.
It helps Overlord live essentially forever. And you may be saying, what? That's not true. We live in a different meta. You can't stall it out. We are not intending to stall anyone out with Ethan. But the thing is also that with Pure Light, you enter a very tight resource game, and Ethan basically just puts the gun to Pure Light's head and says, that's it, this game is done. So it's just really good to have such a quality resource manager around, while the rest of the deck just runs around and starts beating her in the face with magic numbers.
I mean, if you want to play Gojo, it's sure, but
it's not good.
Then also because we have better grade 1s to put behind Overlord these days as well. And now we also play the other encounter card, which is Berserk Dragon. So this is the answer to what we were asking just now, which is how does Overlord retire rear guards? So he has one very strong skill. When he attacks, if you're a Vanguard, he is Overlord in his name. So yes, very important that he has the name Overlord. I made the mistake very early on where I thought that he was just a basic 15k, and then only his second skill is tied to Overlord. But no, his entire skill clause is tied to you having a Vanguard with the name Overlord in it. So be very careful about that. And he gains 5. So he already hits for 15. When he boosted by 8, he becomes 23. And if you're boosted by something like Bar, he becomes a 28. So it's a very, very strong column, and he also helps the magic number. But his second skill is the reason why he is so prolific in this deck and will probably not be power cracked for quite some time, which is he may counter blast 1 and retire one of your opponent's grade 2 or lower rear guard. So they have a Pesky Trick Moon, goodbye. They have a Suppressed Glimmer, goodbye. They have a Agarush, goodbye. Everything, goodbye. It's such a convenient, just like snipe 1 plus a magic number hitter that I generally don't know how this card can be replaced. And it works better than the Harlem, because unlike the Harlem, who has the Soul Blast 5 for his power, granted you do give the power to Overlord as well, but he gets it for free. The power is free, so if you don't need the snipe, you'll just get a 15k beater for free.
Which is really good. It's like Onishifuki with an extra option.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and the Harlem's played.
Yeah, I mean the Harlem's played. Yeah. So of course, as we explained before, we're trying not to play so much Soul anymore. So there really is no point to play too many copies of him, because we are very tight on Soul in this deck for a very good reason.
Our grade 1s, we play 1 copy of Bar for the right deck. We play 4 copies of the Eugene Turtle. We play another 3 copies of Bar, so that's actually 4. We play 4 PG, and that's pretty much it.
So
really simple.
Rare PGs, I think it's self-explanatory.
It's also self-explanatory, so we move him out of the way.
Actually, did we explain Bar skill?
Yeah, we did earlier.
Yeah, I mean, like, you want a refresher, when your Vanguard attack hits once per turn against 5, so it's a 13k booster. If you pass it with your 15ks, it becomes 28. with your other common is 18k beater, he becomes 31. So on turn 2 is a magic number, and from then on is a 20k guard. So it's really good. But
And
now
then we have the Eugene Turtle, Gates Fort.
Yes.
So his skill is very simple. When your opponent's rearguard's retired, you stand in, he gains 2k. This works in many ways. In any rearguard circle that he's on the back row as a booster, you just gain 2k, it's a 10k booster. Pretty good. But he serves a higher purpose. If Overlord attacks a rearguard with boost from Gates Fort, when Overlord stands, because the unit that Overlord hit has retired, you stand the Gates Fort behind him as well. Effectively, you got an 8k boost for the first attack, which doesn't really mean anything. But what you do get on his second attack is another 10k boost.
Yes.
So Gates Fort is actually a double purpose card where he was built for Eugene, but Overlord can really exploit it. Kind of like Tribash. So I'm really glad that Overlord is able to enjoy the more generic support that Eugene gives, because Eugene actually has really good generics and Overlord is benefiting from those until Overlord transcends and gets better cards in set.
I mean, for attack choice against, because set 4 is not only known for the set of Great Force, it's also the set of the Golden Order, archetype, where everyone suddenly got really, really bulky blitz orders that give them like 20k power, 30k power.
So now you can just use stuff like Gates Fort.
So instead of Overlord just being
off.
cut by that, because your order can just stop the rear guard from being hit, you can now just point a gun to the rear guard and just delete it immediately.
Which is really good.
Yes.
Our grade zeros, we play Undung.
I mean, I tried to get the Baba Sagra starter, but
No.
But it's a Blue Flame. There's history there.
No, you want history? Read the Turnabout manga. Then we play 4 heals. We play 8 crits. It's an Overlord that max crits, fearless, max crits.
And 3 draw.
And
1 drop better.
Jump Veda. Because this is the Overlord that you definitely need Jump Veda, there is no question.
I mean, if you're playing Overlord
if you want to buy the crits and draw, I would say go ahead, but very honestly, we couldn't afford it here as well. But it is certainly an option. Yes.
And of course, since you're playing Overlord the deck, you might as well play Overlord the trigger.
Yeah. And that actually wraps it up for our Dragonic Overlord deck profile. Inside 4. I don't think this is our fastest Overlord deck profile, and very honestly I don't care, because the deck is so simple and so fun. I really still enjoy that after 3 sets in, we are still not like completely dead on this deck. This deck still works.
I mean, the fact that this deck has adapted so far to fight the current meta is truly beyond me as to how this is possible. But I mean, it just goes to show that you don't have to have 3,000 like Vanguard effects in order to be good, especially or like be timeless. You just have to have one really good effect and some good commons and rares that benefit from your Vanguard doing its thing, and that's really all you need.
Yeah, we need to end the video here, so this becomes our shortest Overlord deck profile. Alright, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. We are coming close to VCall, everybody. So if you have any deck that you're interested in for VCall, let us know in the comment section below, because we have a lot to cover.